So to add decimals, we line up the decimal points, not the digits. So I would do 1.536 plus 0.42, and then that looks weird. So I'm gonna fill in all of my zeros right here. I just started the video, honey. I'm just reviewing decimals really quickly. And then now that everything is lined up, I'm gonna do my addition, and then the decimal just goes straight down. For subtraction, we do the same thing. We line up our digits. For addition, we can do as many as they give us. So suppose I did this, I can do all three of them together, but for subtraction, I can only do 2 at a time because of borrowing. So I'm going to take the first 2, which in this case we're only doing 2, and I'm going to do 6 minus 0 is 6, 3 minus 2 is 1, 5 minus 4 is 1. I bring my decimal exactly down where it was in the problem, and there we have it. It's 1.116. For addition and subtraction of fractions, so if I had 1/5 plus 2/5, we have the same denominator, so I'm just going to rewrite the denominator and then do 1 plus 2 is 3. So my first step is to, if it's the same denominator, you can add the numerators and then rewrite the denominator. If they are unlike denominators, like 1/4 plus 2/5, then we have to find a common denominator, which means we count up by 4s and we count up by 5s until we get to a common number. So I'm going to do that over here. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 5, 10, 15, 20. So I have my common numbers 20. And then I can't just change a 4 to a 20, so what would I have to do? I would have to multiply it by 5, and anything I do to the denominator, I do to the numerator. So if I multiply this times 5, then I multiply this times 5. And 1 times 5 is 5. For this one, I can't just change a 5 to a 20, so I multiply it by 4. Anything I do to the denominator, I do to the numerator. And 4 times 2 is 8. Now I have the same denominator. I add my numerators together. 5 plus 8 is 13. And then I rewrite my denominator. Do you remember that now, Lila? Coming back to you, maybe? Okay. All right, the next one is if I'm subtracting. So if I did 2/5 minus 1/4, I have the same first step. I'm going to rewrite my denominators here, and I'm going to count up until I get to a common number. So I have my common numbers 20. And now I can change both denominators to a 20. And then I'm going to do 5 times what is 20? 5 times 4. Anything I do to the denominator, I do to the numerator. And then 4 times what is 20? Times 5. Whatever I do to the denominator, I do to the numerator. 4 times 2 is 8. 5 times 1 is 5. And then I do 8 minus 5 is 3 over 20. Does that make sense to you now, Miss Lila?
Subtraction makes less sense to me.
Okay, it's the same exact thing. We did the same exact steps, but the last step is going to be to subtract. Same exact steps. No different at all, but instead of adding our numerators together, we subtract it.
Okay.
There's going to be something called a mixed number. Do you remember that?
Mhm.
So a mixed number is when I have 1 and 2/5 plus 3 and 1/2, right? So in that case, what we do is we first pretend like this isn't here. This is going to be a last step thing. So then we do our same steps. We rewrite our denominator until we get to a common number. And then I see here I have a 10 as my common number. So I'm going to change this to a 10, and I'm going to change this to a 10. So 5 times what is 10? 5 times 2. Anything I do to the denominator, I do to the numerator. 2 times 2 is 4. And then 2 times what is 10? 5. Anything I do to the denominator, I do to the numerator. 1 times 5 is 5. Now I have the same denominator, so I can rewrite that, and I add my numerators together. It's 9/10. So I'm done with the fraction part. Now I just have to deal with this part right here. So 1 plus 3 is 4, right? So my answer is 4 and 9/10. So this would be the final step, and you would just handle it the same way as you would just add 3 plus 1.
Okay.
So, and you won't be doing fractions for a while. They're going to start out, let's just go over, I know what they'll start out with. So first they're going to start out with place value. They're going to start out with standard form and word form and expanded form. That's what they always start school with. Then they're going to start off with more than, less than, and equal to. So let's just go over those very quickly or slowly, whatever we need to do. So what place value is this 9 in, Miss Lila?
The ones.
Yep, and what is this?
About 8. Tens place.
And then this one?
100 place.
And then the 6?
Thousands place.
Mm-hmm.
Then 3 is 10,000 place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then 100,000 place.
That's right. And then what comes after that? Millions. And then 10 millions, and then 100 millions.
Then what comes after that?
Billions, and then
And then
10 billions, and then 100 billions, and then trillions, and then it just keeps going and going and going. But they'll never ask you past usually millions. All right, so that is place value, and then sometimes they're going to ask you what comes after the decimal. So I have this number, it's 823,536,289 point, and then after the decimal, we don't have a 1th place, we start with tenths.
Tenths, 100.
Yep.
Okay.
Thousands, 10,000s, 100,000s. It goes the same thing. We just don't have a 1ths. It starts with the tenths. And then it follows the same thing, but a TH is at the end of it. So it's like this. Tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000ths, 100,000ths, millionths, 10 millionths, just with the TH at the end. Okay, let's talk about the 3 types of how we write numbers. The first is standard form, like 832 is just regular 832. That's what they mean by standard form. Word form means that we spell it out. 8.
Letters.
Yep. We actually just use the word. So you just write 832. Expanded form means that we take each digit and we start with the left side and we tell the reader what it's worth. So this 8 is not really an 8, it's worth 800. So we write 800, and the 3 isn't really a 3, it's a 30. And then the 2 is really a 2. So we just rewrite the 2. So that's what they mean by standard word and expanded form. They might show you something like this and say put it in word form, or they might say put it in standard form, or they might say here's the word form, put it in standard or put it in expanded, or they might give you standard and say put it in word or expanded form. But that's how all three of them go. Do you have any questions about that? Okay. And then greater than, less than, and equal to. So they'll give you two numbers. They'll do a circle. And then they'll say, is 38 less than, greater than, or equal to 83? And so you're going to say less than. Yep. So those are generally the three things that they start with the beginning of the school year. Then one of the things you're going to do is multi-digit.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Which one is greater and which one
For this one,
less?
this is greater than. So we read it left to right, which means whatever number's here, 5 or 4, is what then 5. So basically what we do is we point to the smaller one and we say, na 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 na, you're smaller than I am. So
But
this.
then why is the other one 38 and 30? That one?
Oh, I put it the wrong way. I put it the wrong way. So we would read it as 38 is less than 83, and this would be 4 is less than 5. If it was the opposite, we would say 83 is more than 38, and for this one we would say 5 is more than 4. So we read it like we read a book. This is less than or more than that. Good question. Okay, the other thing that you'll start out doing is multi-digit addition and subtraction, and the only difference it's going to be from 4th grade is that you're going to have more digits. So but it's okay. We can handle that. So they might give you 6 digits or even 7 digits, but you still do the same exact thing.
Wait, that's just addition?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's just bigger numbers. So they might give you something that looks like that, and you still do the same thing. So we first start with our ones, and we do 9 plus 9 is 18, and then we carry the 1, and we add it in. Yep. And then this would be 12, and we carry the 1. 6 plus 2 is 8, plus 1 is 9. We put our comma here. 9 plus 3 is 12, and we carry the 1, and then that is 14, and then we put our comma in. So it's the same thing that you've done forever, it's just more digits. And same with subtraction. We'll just do one without borrowing. So we would do 6, 7, 0, comma, 1, 1, 1. If you had to borrow, then you would borrow. And then with multi-digit multiplication, like that, that's what we do in 4th grade. What you'll do in 5th grade is something that looks like this. It just has more digits. So it's the same process. You just go one more over. So for this one, we would do 6 times 5 is 30. 5 times 2 is 10, plus 3 is 13. 5 plus 3 is 15, plus 1 is 16. Then we put our 0 here, and then we do 2 times 6 is 12. 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5. 3 times 2 is 6. Then you add those together. Let me know when you caught up, and then I'll do the longer one. Same thing, we just do another one more digit.
Wait, I'm doing 1,326 times 25, or am I doing 300?
Yeah, you can write this one down and then do that. I think I'm gonna stop the video. Do you think you need me to record the video for that one, or do you think you understand?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I think I